I have experience on AWS cloud platform, and I have also worked on AWS cloud services like instances, S3 bucket, VPC pairing, auto scaling, and load balances, IAM, etc. So, and I have worked on GCP also in one of my projects. So yeah, so if I come to AWS DevOps tools, I have worked on ECS, EKS, ECR, and Code Correct, and I have experience on tools like project management tool, that is Jira, and version control system, GitHub, and build tool Maven, containerization tool, that is Docker, container orchestration tool, and I mean Kubernetes, and infra management tool Terraform. So, and I have worked on these tools. If I come to roles and responsibilities, I have implemented CI/CD pipeline for the application using CI tool, that is Jenkins, and I've also implemented infrastructure for the application using Terraform, and I have installed and configured Jenkins for automating and build and deploy. And I have installed Docker and plugins and deployed in end product, and in Tomcat and web applications and other app servers also. I have integrated many tools with Git, Maven, and Nexus, Ansible, and Sonar and Tomcat, and have maintained Kubernetes and Kubernetes clusters and applications also, and have created pods and managed using the Kubernetes, and have written some shell script commands to automate the daily task, and have also written Ansible playbooks also.
I mean, how you are configuring Jenkins, and where is the Jenkins server? Jenkins server is on-prem or cloud?
It is on-prem.
And Git is also the SaaS-based application you are using.
Yes.
Git is SaaS-based. Jenkins server is in your on-prem, right?
Jenkins server is in my cloud. I'm using cloud.
Which cloud?
AWS cloud.
AWS cloud.
Yeah.
It has been configured in EC2 instance.
Yes.
And your GitHub is SaaS-based.
Yes.
And then GitHub to EC2 instance. How communication being established?
So I can clone the repository from.
Yes, you are clone, but how getting the access authority?
For access authority, you know, I can use GitHub authentication.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Through that GitHub authentication, so which will provide the secure to our Jenkins instance, and other I'm using plugins for that.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then Jenkins AWS to GCP.
Yeah.
Suppose your Jenkins server in AWS.
Okay.
How Jenkins server is connecting to GCS? Oh, sorry, you are mention EKS. I mean
EJ.
your AWS environment, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So AWS environment, Jenkins server to
Okay.
whatever the deployment is being happen, like EKS, for example.
Okay.
How Jenkins is getting the authority to deploy the application.
Um, for deploying the application from Jenkins. Okay. So for that authentication, so I'm using Authenticator. So it is it will usually in Jenkins, it is basically for uh, for that, and I'm for the authentication, right? So I'm doing authentication basically using, I can use IAM service. I mean IAM roles for Jenkins, access AWS service. So in that IAM roles, I can mention all the permissions. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And how good you are in Terraform?
um in Terraform, I can rate around 7.5 to 8.
And GCP, how much experience do you have?
In my last project, I have worked on GCP. Like, I have good amount of experience in GCP. I can manage.
What are the product and service you have hands-on experience in GCP?
In GCP, okay, I have hands-on experience on with cloud storage bucket and Google Kubernetes engine, and cloud compute engine. And so I have worked on services like database services that I have used. Yeah.
Okay, in GCS, what are the storage classes available in GCP?
In GCP storage classes are like um, so it is these I mean it is basically storage classes are various type are there multi-region, multi-regional, and then regional like near line and whole line and archive.
Okay.
Yeah.
And GKE, suppose there is some memory issue happening after the deployment, right?
Okay.
How the capacity management will be set up before going to deploy the application?
Um, for that, okay. Can you repeat it? I'm repeating.
Suppose you are going to deploy a application in GKE, right?
Okay.
But after deployment, you notice that there is some memory issue.
Okay. For memory issue in GKE.
Yes. So what you will do for that? How to fix it?
For memory utilization, I'll check it like so. Is it reached to the peak level? So first of all, I'll analyze the logs. So what are that, and I'll drive the to the container logs and system logs to identify any memory related errors, such as like out of memory storage, and I can use GPS built-in monitoring tool like Stack Driver to monitor memory and stack and I will use the utilization bots and not and and I can use the memory. I can see if is there any memory issues. I can configure the horizontal for auto scaling to the automatically scale of the pods. If the memory utilization exceeds a certain threshold, so when it will get ended, so I'll ensure that sufficient resources for the applications, and I can also implement the vertical pods and autoscaler to dynamically adjust for the resources request based on that, and based on the resources request based on the actual usage, and optimizing the memory allocation, and I'll adjust the application configuration. Yeah, like that I can do it. So and also if there is any Java based application, I so if I know that I will adjust the application configuration like JVM, keep size and memory limits given it is manifest, so optimize the memory usage, and then I can also reduce the memory footprint, such as like minimizing the unnecessary dependencies using the lightweight base image. I can manage in this way.
In compute engine,
Okay.
I want to change my IP address.
Okay.
How to change my public IP address?
In compute engine, if I want to change the IP address,
Yeah.
for that, for a public IP address, I can use for basically that I can reset the static IP. I'll go to the GCP console and I'll navigate to the VPC network, and I'll select the external IP address, and I'll click on reserve address like whatever I want. So I'll choose the appropriate network and vision, and I'll reserve new static IP address, and then I'll update to the VM, and also in the compute engine inside the network interface. I'll locate my external IP address which I had reserved, and I'll check and edit that. Yeah, selectively I can reserve the static IP address.
So in a running VM, will it be possible?
In running VM, it is not possible. So in running VM, so we can, yeah, it can be possible. We can do that. So yeah.
Okay. So what is service account? In a compute engine have a service account, but I want to change that service account. How to do that?
So for service account, we have to, configure it. I mean, we have to take a permission. It is um, So for the application or virtual machines running on the GCP, right? That time service accounts are used to authenticate the application and provide access to the GCP resources. I mean, compute engines. And for cloud storage bucket or BigQuery data sets, for each service account is associated with all set of you know other credentials also, including private key. Yeah, so I can use, authenticate by API request mode by the associated, application.
So what is service account?
Um, Service account, it is nothing but a no account. So it is uh, used to, authenticate.
Okay.
So and also it is Google Cloud Identity used for application and service to access GCP resources, programmatically. Like there is a separate service account username and password will be
For
there.
example, you created a compute engine in GCP, right?
Yeah. Okay.
With private IP.
Okay.
How we can access from outside that GCVM?
Um, can you repeat it once?
For example, you
Uh,
created one compute engine in your GCP environment with private IP.
okay. With
There
private
is no
IP.
there is no public IP, right?
Yeah. Okay.
How to access that VM from outside?
Mm, okay. So how to access that VM from outside? Um, for that, okay. So basically, I can set up a host and jump server also, and host and to the original server. So yeah, so I can use server with an public IP in the same VPC at as a private VM, and I can enable the SSH tunnel, and from the jump server to the private server. Yeah.
Is there any other way?
Other ways. So there are other ways also. Like can use cloud VPN or interconnected one also.
What is IAP? Do you know what is IAP?
Mm, IAP.
Hmm.
Okay. So,
Identity Aware Proxy.
yes, yeah, identity
What's
report.
that?
So it is that provides a security remote access for the application running on the GCP.
Is there any other